very nice guy. I can his name.
Good evening. My name's Chuck Iovan, and I'll be presiding over this evening's meeting of the Planning Board, January 14th, 2026. For those in attendance, under the provisions of the open meeting law, attendees are being informed that this meeting is being recorded by Urban Media Arts and will be live streamed on the Malden Access MATV YouTube site. I have not been notified that any other video or audio recording of this meeting will occur. Next thing we'll do is we will do our roll call, starting with Tawadage.
ተወዳጅ ገብረስላሴ ፕላኒንግ ቦርድ፣
Diane Shuha, Planning Board.
Ken Antonucci, Planning Board.
Chuck Iovan, Planning Board.
Pat Hayes, Planning Board.
Eric Henry, Planning Board.
Risa Gray, Planning Board.
Stephanie Stone, Planning Board.
Michelle Ferguson, Planning Board.
Thank you very much, and just for the record, Michelle Ferguson will be voting on all topics before the board this evening. First item, 160 Eastern Ave. Diane, could you please read the notice?
The Malden Planning Board will hold a public hearing in the Herbert L. Jackson Council Chamber, Malden City Hall, 215 Pleasant Street, Malden, Mass, at 7 p.m. on Wednesday, January 14th, 2026, on the petition of 616 Broadway Nominee Trust, permit application number CMID-073306-2025, seeking to amend the special permit granted in case number 23-17 under Title 12.28.010.e of the Code of the City of Malden to expand the existing vehicle retail use, namely the car dealership at the property known as and numbered 160 Eastern Ave, Malden, Mass, and known by city's assessor's parcel ID number 086268801.
Thank you very much, Diane. And I see the petitioner is present. Councilor, good evening. I'd like to remind everyone coming up to the podium, if you speak at the podium, please give us your name and residential address for the record and sign the clipboard up on the corner of the table. Thank you, Councilor.
Thank you. Good evening, Chairman, members of the board. My name is Attorney Patrick McDonald. I maintain law offices at 479 Eastern Avenue here in Malden, and I represent the petitioner in the matter before the board this evening, 616 Broadway Nominee Trust, owner of the real property known as and numbered 160 Eastern Avenue. This property is currently the subject of a previously approved special permit, and the matter before the board tonight is the owner's petition to amend that existing special permit by essentially the following. The property is a mixed-use property located at 160 Eastern Avenue. It is currently being used and has been used by two separate and distinct businesses. One is a landscaping company, Garrick Santo. They've been operating at that site for a number of years. And the other occupant / tenant of the property is a Class II used car dealership licensee here in the city, AGM Auto Sales Incorporated. The previous or the existing special permit provided for use by both of those businesses at that location with approximately a 50-50 split of the lot itself, the front half or southern half of the lot being used for the inventory and stock of the used car business and the parking of motor vehicles associated with that, and the rear half or thereabouts of the lot being used for the landscaping business that operates out there and their storage of vehicles or materials related to the landscaping business, as well as the existing structure on the property, a large warehouse-type building, which pursuant to the existing special permit was occupied mostly by the landscaping company, about 80% of the building, and only a small portion of the structure itself being occupied by AGM, the southernmost portion of the building, which they utilize for their offices related to their used car business, basically. This proposal is to adjust between the two businesses occupying the property the volume and extent of both the lot and the building that they currently both utilize. Specifically, we are asking to increase the presence and footprint of the auto dealership, the Class II licensee, and correspondingly decrease the use and footprint of the landscaping business, Garrick Santo. The proposal is to allow the, the used car business to now occupy the majority of the exterior lot of the property, extending the portion of it far to the north and changing the number of permitted parking spaces that can be used by the business from the current number of 27 to an expanded number of 50. In addition, the interior of the building and its use are also being requested to change, again, by increasing the presence and footprint of the used car business and correspondingly reducing the presence and footprint of the portion of it that's being used by Garrick. You can see on the plan that was submitted, the site plan, which shows that now the used car business is looking to occupy about 2/3, or maybe a little bit less, about 60% of the interior of the structure. They will continue to use the ground floor, frontmost, southernmost part of the building as their existing offices, but they will expand deeper into the building northerly to create a proposed showroom for vehicles, and they will have 6 spaces for parking within that showroom. In addition, there's a mezzanine level in the building, currently not used by either of the occupants of the building, which AGM is asking to be allowed to use as additional office space, conference room, et cetera, associated with the used car business. Garrick Santo's footprint will correspondingly be reduced to about 40% of the interior of that building as a result of the increased use by AGM. We are aware of the complaints, became aware of them just today, related to the used car business's use of the lot and perceived violations of its Class II license in terms of the number of spaces and cars that are parked on the lot exceeding the number of spaces provided for on their Class II license. We acknowledge that. I would say that my client, the property owner, was not aware of any of that until today. I made him aware of that. And we have with us today representatives from AGM who I think can more definitely provide for the board an explanation of what's going on. But I would say with respect to those complaints that I think they underline the reason why we're here is that AGM is a growing and expanding business. It's doing well, it's doing better, and it doesn't have enough space to accommodate the number of vehicles it's in a position to store and sell right now. And it wants to increase that space so it can more easily do that. It has, my understanding is it has a pending application before the licensing committee of the city council to amend its used car license to a number equal to the number of spaces that we're asking be provided for and permitted under an amended special permit. I have nothing to do with that. I don't represent AGM. I take them at their word. But it makes sense that they want to have this additional space and they want to expand their license because, as I said, their business is growing and expanding, which is generally a good thing. But I don't want the board to think we're unmindful of the concern of both the planning board and presumably of the licensing committee of the city council with respect to violations. I only suggest to the board that, excuse me, I think that's the reason why we're here, to be perfectly frank, is they don't have enough space, they need more space, they want more space, so they're trying to get more space so these kinds of problems don't occur. They're here, if the board is inclined to allow them to speak, to inform the board about their business, about what's been going on, and about how they intend on rectifying the issues that have been brought to my attention only today. In addition, my client, Mr. Gottschalk, Rick Gottschalk, who's the trustee of the trust and affiliated to some extent with the landscaping business, is here should the board have any additional comments. But the petition itself is straightforward, I'd suggest, and I'd suggest that it's better for the neighborhood if we can give AGM more space. I think it's better for the city and the downtown area if we increase a used car dealership as opposed to a landscaping, storage yard. That's not the best use in the city. It's allowed, but I think an argument could be made that a car dealership is a better use as long as it's being properly maintained, as long as it's in compliance with the special permit that applies to it, as well as the license, the Class 2 dealership license from the city. So we'd ask for favorable action by the board with respect to it. And as I said, if the board has questions, both I, Mr. Gottschalk, are here initially to address them to the best of our ability. To the extent the board has questions or concerns about AGM as an occupant of the property and the violations that have been alleged recently or came to our attention recently, they're here to speak to it. I'm not particularly qualified to speak to those kind of nuts and bolts aspect of the operation of their business. But I would request of the board and the board's indulgence in allowing them to both make a brief presentation as well as address any concerns or issues directly the board has.
Okay, thank you, Counselor. I have a question for you, though. If you, your client, or the owner weren't aware of the violations and complaints against how the business was being operated, who would have been the responsible person to address those?
My answer to that question, Chairman, would be the business that has been cited for violations, that being AGM. I haven't read the lease between AGM and 616 Broadway Trust. I don't know, I know for certain that it says that responsibility for compliance with any and all statutes, regulations, ordinances, conditions, what have you, related to the operation of the tenant's business is always the tenant's responsibility. It's not the landlord/property owner's responsibility to ensure compliance with whatever statutes, ordinances, or licenses apply to the operation of that business. That's the tenant's responsibility. I would say that some of these violations, they appear to be, again, from a brief review of what was said to me, somewhat temporary in nature. You go down there, the building commissioner or representatives of ISD go down there, they see more cars after counting the number of cars than is permitted on the space, but those cars, there's turnover constantly in the car business. Inventory is coming in, inventory is moving out due to sales, and there are times when the two are clashing. There's not enough room for all the cars that are coming in and going out, and sometimes cars don't get picked up or get off the lot as quickly as perhaps AGM, the car dealership, would like. But to answer your question, who would know about this? The tenant would know about it. Okay. And whose responsibility responsibility contractually, it's the tenant's responsibility. I'm not throwing the tenant under the bus, nor am I making, or casting aspersions upon the tenant. I'm simply
No,
answering
no,
the
I mean,
chairman's question.
and that makes more sense, because to say that no one was aware of it until today, just looking at the stuff from Inspectional Services, has been going back over a year, where people have been cited, they've been warned, they've been fined. And perfectly honest with you, reading through it, it sounds like they are consistently at odds with what they're been permitted to do.
I understand.
So it sounds like they're always over the amount, so it's not like it was, well, once back in July of '23, they had 2 extra cars.
I understand.
I mean, we're talking, looking through this stuff where they're, 40, 50% over what they should have. When they're looking at this stuff, 67% over on, Tuesday, yesterday, versus what they should have. So I'm just concerned about the fact if they're consistently over. And I understand your argument that that's the reason they're here, to expand their operation. They're doing well. We wish them all the success in the world, but there's a responsibility on the tenant to operate within the boundaries of their city license.
We recognize that, Chairman. I would offer one modest correction. I don't believe I said that nobody knew about this. I said that I didn't know about it, nor did my client, Mr. Gottschalk, the property owner. I didn't mean for that to intuit or to intimate that nobody knew about it. Someone knew about it. But I personally only became aware of this afternoon when Planner Romero sent me the email, which I then forwarded to my client, who informed me that this is the first he was hearing about that. So as I said, it's not throwing anyone under the bus. It's just reporting to the board that we weren't aware of this particular issue until several hours ago, but that it seems to be consistent with why this tenant wants to have more storage space on the lot. He's got a lot more cars and a lot more business than he can currently handle at that site. And there is availability. The landlord, the property owner, is willing to make the additional space available to him, and it's a significant amount. It's going to double, essentially, his car storage ability on the lot if he can get the license from the licensing committee.
Okay, thank you. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, unless, as I said, if any board members have questions,
Does
do my
anyone
best
else?
to answer them. Mr.
Does anyone
Gottschalk
else
as well.
have questions? Eric Henry. Well, Eric Henry.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. If on an average day, how many vehicles are on the lot? That
I can't answer, except to say that the license provides for, I think, 27 at this point in time, but.
21.
Is it 21? Again, my familiarity with the tenant's license is modest at best. But Member Henry, I can't answer that question because, as I said, we don't have a lot. I certainly don't have a lot of knowledge, let alone intimate knowledge of the daily grind and daily nuts and bolts of that car dealership. That's why I specifically asked representatives of the car dealership to be here tonight. I thought they could be far more informative to the board regarding the nature of their business, the nature of these complaints, and what they can do to address those complaints beyond getting more space pursuant to an amended special permit.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Eric. Risa Gray.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On the interior plan, I see 2 bathrooms in the bottom corner, opposite from Phillips Courtside, but on the site plan, there are 2 parking spots in that space, which is correct.
I'm sorry.
There are 6 interior parking spots,
Yes.
and in the same spot, there are 2 bathrooms. So I'm curious, are there 6 parking spots?
Well,
or-
the plan that I have is the one that is an amended plan. It was different from the plan originally filed with the petition. This is the plan. I believe I brought additional 11 by 17 copies earlier tonight. I believe Planner Romero has provided them to the board members. So This is the correct plan. This is the one we are seeking, this is the floor plan and site plan we are seeking to have approved in association with an amended special permit.
So just to clarify, so Risa's asking about the Cornerstone Architect's floor plan. That's not the plan that's called, it's labeled as-built floor plan, but that's not the plan? You don't, this doesn't go along with what's shown on the site plan?
That's correct. That's correct.
So there's no new floor plan for the first floor except what's shown on the site plan?
That's correct.
Okay.
Other than, there is a separate mezzanine.
For the mezzanine, that's correct. Okay, I see that, all right. I wasn't aware of that either. I thought this
My apologies.
plan went with it, so.
My apologies for any confusion,
Okay.
but
So there's
this
two
doubles.
plans outside the folder, underneath the folder. Those are the ones that were revised, so apparently disregard the Cornerstone and also disregard the plan that says plot plan. It's dated June 10th, signed July 21st, 25. Use the one that is signed December 1st and dated December 10th, 2025, that's non-colorized, doesn't have any color gridding. I also do want to, while I'm just briefly, in your package, you also have the special permit that was granted in case 2317, and stapled to that, to keep things in order, or try to, is the plan that was approved with that special permit. It's also an 11 by 17. It's stapled to the decision. And it has the blue shading on it. This is the plan that should be in effect now, that goes with the special permit the board granted in 2317.
So, Michelle, would you agree that based on the plans that we received, the last couple spots, maybe 5 and 6, or 4, 5, and 6, are where the bathrooms are showing on that Cornerstone plan? And we should presume that the bathrooms aren't there, or we presume that they only have
Yes.
54?
Well, I also, yes, I would think, I believe that that's correct, because those are in the area of 5 and 6, that's correct. So I think that the Cornerstone plan does show the correct location of the wall, new metal wall, because it seems to line up with that, even though there aren't any dimensions on this plan, but there's 2 garage doors in the new proposed showroom. And then the 2 remain in the, what's called Garrick lease area, and you can see those over on the left. So yes, I believe those 2 bathrooms are in spots 5 and 6 inside. Or we're going to be, so.
Risa, does that answer your question, or?
I think if the answer is there are no bathrooms there and there are spaces for 6 cars, that answers my question. Is that-
There are spaces for 6 cars, but
What I'm not sure is this is labeled as built, so I don't know if this is already built out inside. So we could ask, is there a wall already there?
there are going to be bathrooms. There are going to be bathrooms and parking spaces inside. So my apologies for that, but no bathrooms have been built at this point in time. Nothing's been built. Oh, they're up. They're there. My mistake. So perhaps an amendment of this plan that identified those 2 bathrooms within that new area is in order, and I certainly can provide that to the board. Not tonight, but very quickly, depending upon the board's action after the fact. So
So it sounds like, Mr. Chair, this is an as-built plan.
yeah,
So
Yeah,
there's
if you-
already, they've already put the wall, and there's 6 bathrooms according to this plan?
Yes,
Okay, so this is a current plan?
yes.
Okay, thanks.
That plan doesn't, that quote-unquote as-built plan does not depict the parking spaces. So that's why this was added to the site plan, basically, so that the parking area within the interior of the building could be reflected somewhere, but not on what essentially is an as-built interior floor plan. So my apologies for that. So that plan, this plan, and the mezzanine plan is the package that the board is looking at and applies to the special permit amendment that is being sought here.
Okay, can you ask your client how many cars they plan to display in the showroom? Are these 2 bathrooms going to impede what their plans were for the number of cars they planned on showing at any
May I
given time?
invite?
Yes.
May I invite them
yeah.
up here, Chairman, rather than turn it down? Gentlemen, why don't you come forward? No, come up.
Just ask that you sign the paper and give your name and home address for the record, please.
Did you, well, identify yourself first for the record, please.
Fernando Lins.
And what's your position at AGM?
I'm the general manager at the store.
Okay. And did you hear the chairman's question?
I did.
Can you
And
respond to that initially?
residential address, please?
26 Park Street in Haverhill.
Thank you.
Initially, can you just address the chairman's question, specific question?
Yeah, we submitted those 6 parking spots in there for appreciation of the committee, not because necessarily we want to keep 6 cars in there, we just have them permitted. If for some reason we have an event or anything that it's necessary, we don't plan on keeping all 6 cars inside. And not necessarily towards that way where the restrooms are currently, we just want to have the permission to do so.
Right, but if you've got them labeled as parking spaces,
Those are mostly like showroom cars, not necessarily like that the vehicle is going to be parked there at all times.
okay, I'm not sure that's how it should be presented then on the plan. We might have to reduce the number of parking spaces you're proposing. Hold on a second. Risa, you're all set?
Yeah, yes, thank you.
Stephanie Stone.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I wanted to ask about the employee and customer parking. The plan, is it accurate the plan has 2 customer parking spaces and 1 employee space?
2 and 2.
2 and 2? Yeah. And I was curious about the regulations around that, if that is adequate, considering it looks like you have to provide additional spaces for additional 20 spaces.
So AGM currently has like 6 license plates, dealer plates, and we use that amongst like the owner and all managers to test the vehicles that we sell, the used vehicles that we sell. So myself, the owner, the finance manager, all of us, we usually go home with like, we call it loaner or demo vehicles to see how they're performing, if there's anything that needs to be repaired. So we don't like, I don't use my car to go to the store, neither does Marcos, the service manager, the finance manager, if that answers your question.
Right, I'm just trying to understand the regulation. What is the minimum spaces? Given this increase in display spaces, what's the minimum for the employee and customer spaces? And so would this be non-conforming?
I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know if there is one. I think it might be something that would be addressed by the licensing committee of the city council, but I'm not sure about that because I'm not involved in the licensing part of it. So I apologize, I can't answer the question about ratio question. I don't have the information, unless,
Michelle, if you want to answer that.
I do have a copy of the ordinance. So the requirement, and this is the city ordinance for licensing used car dealers. So this is what the city council will look at when granting the license. So this is, actually, there's a portion of this in the staff report as well. So employee and customer parking of no fewer than 3 spaces. So they need 3 spaces to start. Provided that 1 additional employee/customer parking space shall be required for each additional 20 spaces for storage or display. So I don't think it matters that their showroom display, their outside display, their inside display, they're labeling it as 56 spaces total. So depending on what they pursue the license for, that's why the license that they currently have is for 21 cars, but the plan shows 24 because they need the 3 spots for customer employee.
Okay.
Which was the plan that you approved last time. So I believe, I mean, again, by my calculation, I think they need 5. They need 3 for the initial 18 spaces, or 21, if you will. And then another 20, so that's 2 more spaces. So I believe they need 5, but again, you know, that's the city council that will be granting the license.
Yeah.
You're looking at a plan that's showing 56 spaces.
And does that include the required spaces for employees of the landscaping
No,
company?
no, they're showing 56 on the
Yeah.
portion of land that they intend to occupy. The parking for the landscaping is in the back here in these, what's labeled parking lanes. That's as per your special permit that was granted, if you keep that condition, which I would recommend you do if you get to that point.
And so the application, right, so currently there is a license for 21 cars that expires in March, but right now it is a revised application is under consideration for additional cars, and that would, do you know what the number is on that?
on the application that they're seeking to pursue before the city council, it's the,
Not counting for the customer and employees, 52.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's currently, do you have a timeline on that?
Come again?
A timeline in terms of their approving?
I don't know, we need to refer to licensing board, right?
well, do you have any indication from the licensing committee about when this matter is going to be addressed?
No.
Okay.
And they can't, one of the parts of the ordinance, if I could, Mr. Chair, is that they can't approve a license that's it has to be in conformance with the zoning.
Yeah, I mean,
So it's not, they couldn't approve it right now because the zoning says they can only have the 24
Right.
for that use, so.
we've visited, we came to City Hall a few times asking about that, and we were told that any changes in our licensing, we need to go back to, refer to special permit.
Okay. And would that entity who's looking at the license look at all at the, the non-conforming size of the spaces or anything like that, or is that just us?
No, they have, in their regulations, it states that the spaces shall be paved, line, numbered, no smaller than 9 by 18, yellow traffic paint. So there's a lot of specific criteria in the licensing standards. So they'll look at all that.
And do we know if these plans fit that?
I believe that, I mean, they're showing 9 by 18 spaces, so I would say that is correct. That part of it's correct. They do have, non-conforming aisle widths and whatnot. That's the zoning part of it, so.
Okay.
If you approve that, if you approve the plan with the nonconformities, that becomes part of the zoning for the property. So that would carry through, so when they say, does it comply with applicable zoning, I would think they would say yes per the special permit, if you
Okay.
approve that.
Okay. Thank you.
All set, thank you. Ken Antonucci.
Yeah, just to go back, it kind of touches on all of this, just to summarize. So on this plan, it shows the 6 parking spaces inside. And then the proposed AGM car showroom. So those 6 spaces will all, those 6 cars will be somewhere in that space, not necessarily in those spaces as they're drawn. So you won't have 6 parking spaces plus other showroom vehicles,
Yeah, the showroom vehicles will be those 6.
those 6 cars. And those typically will also be the employees' vehicles, because they're gonna have the repair, the dealer plates on them.
Exactly.
So they all kind of overlap each other. So the required, I mean, just to make sure I'm understanding it, so the required number of employee parking spots is comprised of these 6 spaces that are shown inside. But like the chairman said, this probably just isn't depicted properly on the drawing, because it makes it seem like there's gonna be 6 parking spaces, 2 of which are gonna require removal of the existing bathrooms, which you've stated you're not going to remove. So those 2 bathrooms are gonna remain, and you're basically gonna have 6 vehicles inside the building.
So I believe that was more on the designing of it. We don't plan on necessarily keeping them all the way to that corner where the restrooms are.
Right.
We just didn't want to put like 6 random like parking spots
Right, so
like
you're gonna-
inside the showroom.
Okay, right, so you'll have 6 spots, and you just depicted it as 6 parking spots. It
Exactly.
isn't necessarily where those, isn't
Correct.
gonna take place of the bathrooms.
That's correct.
And those 6 spaces are also your employee use spots. So I think that covers
No,
everything
no, I
that we
understand, it's
talked
just
about.
wrong.
Right.
And they don't have 56, they
Right.
have 50.
I'm just trying to, right.
Yes,
trying
yeah,
to
no,
make
no, I
sure-
understand what you're saying and stuff.
pull everyone's comments that we've all observed together. So they still need additional parking spaces, you're saying.
It's like 7 more spaces they need.
But there's 50 outside plus 6 inside the building.
But if they can't use those 6 because they're not 9 by 18 and they're not gonna be laid out that way or used for that,
Correct.
then I don't believe they should be included in the total. You can't say you have 56 if you only really have 50.
50.
That's my thinking. I don't know what other people think, but I understand what they're saying. I understand what they did. I understand how they're presenting it. Could they fit 6 cars in there or more for the showroom? Probably.
This is, if I may, this isn't a particularly realistic depiction of what a car showroom layout looks like. 6 cars lined up
Right.
against the wall right next to each other. There's probably more aesthetically way to arrange the vehicles. The whole point is to show off the cars, so, but I understand what you're saying, Chairman, is that the space is there for 6 conventional parking spaces, but they're not actually gonna be using them that way because that's not how a car showroom works, and they have the bathrooms there. But the space is there for the vehicles.
But 2 of them can't be used because
Yes.
there's a bathroom there.
Yes.
If they're positioned that way.
If they're positioned that way, correct.
Right.
They can't be positioned that way because there are bathrooms there. They'd have to be arranged in a different way. But they most likely would be arranged in a different layout because it's a showroom, not the parking lot outside.
Right, no, I understand. I've been to different dealerships before and see how they lay them out at angles and try to put it in the best light. I understand that. Thank you. Ken, are you all set?
Yes.
Risa Gray.
Chair, I think I'm asking the same question. Are they considered parking spots if they aren't laid out with the guidelines of the parking spots outside? I'm trying to understand if they do count.
They're proposing them.
Yeah.
So, if this board allows it, then I believe they would be legalized. I would agree that, I don't know that there is another way you could lay them out, because keep in mind, when you look at the Cornerstone plan, the offices already take up, or the proposed offices, or the offices are already 20 by 60. There's another wall there, right? So there's a section of that building shown in this proposed car showroom where it says existing sales office lease area. I don't know how they could be configured. But they're proposing them not because, they're not required for the business, right? It's not like typically you see, you need so many spaces per business. The zoning only requires 18 spaces for vehicle sales. They're proposing them so they can meet the higher license number. But I do also want to draw your attention to the fact that 2 of the other spaces proposed aren't even entirely on the property. They're located partially in the private right-of-way. So they're also proposing to count those. Those are spaces 50 and 49.
So does that decrease the number?
So technically, those aren't on site. It would be up to you, you know, whether you want to consider them as part of the layout. Again, for what they need for this business, they only need 18 under the zoning ordinance. They're proposing more for the licensing purposes.
Right, no, that's a good point, Michelle. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah.
You all set, Risa?
Yes, thank you.
Eric Henry.
Just a point, thank you, Mr. Chair. Michelle, just a point of clarification. You said that the 2, is that decreased to 56, then to 54? Or?
I mean, technically, yes, it does. They're not, you know, in their full, they're not on the property, so. I understand everybody uses that right away, but they don't own it. So it's not on their property. It's just like any other case. If someone says, well, I have parking outside on the street or my neighbors, it doesn't technically count towards that. So I would say they're there, but that's going to really, I would say, be up to the city council.
Would we say it is a detriment to the community? For them to use it as such?
Your standard is this whole proposal more detrimental than what's there. When we get to some of the issues that have been raised, I think you'll have more info. I don't, you know, yes, you could discuss, you could include those 2 parking spaces as one of the factors you consider when you're weighing that standard, I would say.
Thank you on that. I did have another question that I wanted to get kind of straightened out. I've heard testimony from council and from the chair with regards to the number of vehicles that are supposed to be on there, on the lot currently, and that the amount of vehicles that they have currently on the lot. I've heard, and if you're allowed to increase the business, it would increase by 50 or so. Don't quote me on the number, some price, some number, percentage. I think it was 50, forgive me, that you and Chair, on average, how many vehicles are on this lot currently? When you did your analysis, how many vehicles do you think?
When I went by, it was loaded, right? Because there's also a satellite space across the street and over by Phillip Street. Is
Yeah.
at the corner of Phillip Street, I think it's 135. Yeah. So that was loaded too. So there wasn't a lot of free open space for customers or employees, or, well, it's hard to tell, I couldn't tell, because all the spots were taken up. At one point when I counted 40 there. They're only supposed to have 21. You know, I drive by there fairly often, so I kind of glance at it once in a while and see, yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, oh, geez, there's a few open spaces today. That's different. But that's why I was asking the counselor, because it sounds like they're over all the time, which means they're constantly over. So this wasn't sort of a one-off or a timing delay. I read somewhere in the inspection services information that they were saying 9 cars were going to be delivered or picked up that day. Well, even if you took that 9 cars off, they're still like 10 or 15 over.
Right.
You know, if you go through and read all the comments that were made. So I don't think this is a one-off, occasional inconvenience to them and the neighborhood. I'd be real interested to hear what other feedback. We haven't gotten any feedback at all about complaints other than seeing the inspectional services submission. So I don't know what the neighborhood feels.
Is there a neighborhood report?
I'm not in possession, nor am I aware of a neighborhood report of any kind, Member Henry.
You too?
Yeah. We might hear some more later as people speak in favor or against, but I have nothing to point to. Eric,
No, I know the counselor is sometimes attends neighborhood reviews and meetings as that nature and stuff.
Yes.
Right. But,
If I may.
okay, you all set, Eric?
Yeah, I'm good for now, thanks.
Thank
You
you.
had a-
Michelle, do you have the?
Forgive me, Chairman. Member Henry, you had a question earlier that I couldn't answer. I believe it was, on a typical day or average, how many cars are moving or on the, excuse me, on the lot?
Thank you for the reader direct.
Would you like to,
I would.
can you address that question?
So in a day like today, we had 26, because we had a few deliveries as well. And if I may add, what we are dealing with ever since the pandemic and moving forward is mostly like an issue of repossession vehicles where I have no control over when a certain lender or the lenders that we used to work more in the past that were recourse deal, meaning I'm responsible for those contracts, and if the customer defaults, I have to buy that car back and like resell it. We had a number. We are still managing that and working less with those kind of lenders and selling less to that kind of customer, so we can manage this unpredictable surge of deliveries. So whenever like the city drives by and I just had, or for some reason I had a few deliveries that day, and that happens to be along with like a few repossessed vehicles that were dropped off, I don't have a lot of control over that.
Well, I understand. I understand that. No, I think the counselor said if successful tonight, your business would increase by some percentage.
Exactly.
And I think he said that maybe 50% or something. Maybe you could tell me, you're currently at, let's say 25 cars on average. What do you think, on average, what do you think you would be doing?
So currently, because of the recent issues that we've been having, we already have the space outside of the store. We looked all over Malden. There is not a lot of commercial spaces that we can use as storage. We have two other facilities, one in Ipswich and another in Tewksbury, that we can transfer those cars for. When like the inspection services came by, we immediately worked on the units that we got and transferred those for either of these facilities. We're trying to manage as much as you can, but the increase in the numbers of vehicles in the lot would help us. We're working on the issue here, not on the exception. I mean, we don't intend to keep giving this kind of headache to the city. We have no issue being compliant. It's just a matter of we're dealing with what we have in the best way we can.
Do you feel that if you were permitted to have this basic doubling of your allotment, you would be more in compliance with the ordinance?
Certainly.
So, excuse me if you don't mind me jumping in. So in that, if it is 52 that you get, within that you will cover all employee parking, all customer parking, all repossession deliveries,
Yes, because that's temporary.
all the things won't exceed 57 spaces.
Will you also use other vehicles from your facilities to rotate in and out of there as well, as you do to move around when people are asking questions?
Come again?
You say inspections come by, and at times you're required to remove vehicles between your businesses.
Exactly.
And you would also use this facility for that reason, those purposes as well.
I'll try to keep all of them. I mean, we can fit 200 cars in Ipswich. So it's just a matter of transportation and how quick we can turn.
Understood, I think. Thank you. I think I'm good.
Okay, thank you. Michelle, you had something?
Yeah, I just had a question. You don't have a concern that if you have more space, you'll just exacerbate the problem? Because now you'll have, instead of 50, you'll now, all of a sudden, there'll be occasionally 70 on site. Why do you think that you're not going to just continue the pattern that you've been using of having unexpected deliveries and you didn't plan for this or that? Why do you think that won't just
Because the issues,
continue?
as I said, we are continuously like working less with these lenders. And also we are trying to like manage this. The issues happen exactly because we outgrown like the capacity that we had. We have a license for 21 spaces in one side and 24 on the other. And we're a dealership that turns like 60, 70 cars a month. So anywhere between that, I need to turn all of those vehicles in my logistics to make it work.
Okay, thank you. My question, Chair, I know the attorney said you don't have a lot of info about the car dealer, but you have info about the landscaping. So how often is the landscaping business or the property owner on site? And the reason I'm asking is because last time in 2020, when the permit was first granted for the building in 2016, it was only supposed to be an outdoor parking lot. Then over the years, it morphed into a used car dealer. And in 2023, the property owner said he, for years, had been unaware of all this going on at the property. And I feel, just the facts seem to say now it's the same situation, that the property owner is unaware of what the tenant is doing. And in 2023, the same thing. The property owner was unaware of all these things. It had changed from storage to used car dealer. The license had been renewed. So how often is the property owner there? Or when I was there were people working there, like employees doing the sand and whatnot. But how often is this monitored? Because I think there's a concern with what's going on
May I ask
at that
the,
property. Yeah,
property owner representative and the business representative to
yeah.
address that question?
Yes, please. If that's all right, Chair.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anita Gottschalk, 7 Nelson Way, Wilmington, Mass. And your question was about?
How often, I'm sorry, it wasn't you, it was Mr. Rick Gottschalk that last time testified at length that he wasn't aware of any of these issues. And it was actually, I think, the same dealer that had been going on for years. So how often?
Which issues, though? The issues of the extra cars being there, or?
Well, at the time, it was the issues of it changing from an open outdoor parking license to an actual Class 2 dealer.
Well, as far as the landscaping company, I
Yeah.
can speak to that. So
Okay.
we are there during the winter months, as often as it snows and whenever we need to prepare for snow and work snow. During the landscaping season, we're there less because we have another facility in another city.
So is it like every day?
And my employees aren't
Yeah.
really responsible for monitoring what they do.
So who goes there? Does someone go every day to see what's going on there, or no?
Not every day, not just, like I said, preparation for snow, during snow, and after snow. During the winter months, and then during the landscape season, from March to middle of December, when we're wrapping up green season, there is someone there in the morning, because they leave from there to the other office in Wilmington.
But you're saying they're
They're
just
not there
doing
all
their
day.
job, they're not
Yeah,
monitoring what
they're
else is
not-
going on
They're not
at the site?
monitoring what the tenants are doing.
Okay, thanks.
It's not really their job.
Thank you.
If I may, Planner Romero, just, you had mentioned that the last time the petitioner was before the board in '23, that this was not a licensed facility, they were a parking area. I think that's technically incorrect. That if I recall, there was an issue with their license because through error, oversight, or omission, it had them licensed at the property across the street. And what they needed to do was get back before the licensing committee to straighten that out. Their license should have reflected 160 Eastern Ave as the licensed property, but it didn't. Not a criticism of anybody, but an error that needed to be corrected. And they went forward and they corrected that error at that time. But
It's been licensed since 2018.
Right.
This property's been licensed as a used car dealer.
yes,
It has been licensed.
Yeah.
The concern was the property owner didn't know it was licensed as a car dealer. When the building was permitted to open up, it was represented and it was put in the special permit that it was a landscaping business and there's an outdoor parking. That's it. Then the city became aware there was a used car dealer being run out of there since 2018. And when the new sign went up is when we were notified. So you came back in 2023. But, so that's like 6 years of not knowing what was, and I remember that the property owner said he wasn't aware.
I think what was meant at
Right.
that time was he wasn't aware of the mix-up. It was always his understanding and belief that the 160 Eastern Avenue location was the Class 2 used car dealership. It turned out that, and it came to his knowledge that through an error, it was the property across the street that I think was licensed for it. And Mr. Gottschalk is here, he can confirm that if the board would like to hear directly from him. So I don't want the board to get the impression that he had no idea what was going on down there. He was mistaken in his understanding of the licensing of the property at that point in time, but he knew there was a used car dealership. He thought they were acting pursuant to a license that applied to that property and found out that it didn't apply to that property.
But I guess, and I won't go further, but the special permit, the concern was that the special permit, when it was granted, it specifically didn't identify that. So then years later, it's discovered, it was agreed to, the conditions of the special permit and the restrictions, so there's a missing piece here, you know. But anyway,
Okay,
it did get corrected.
we
It
can
got
move on.
corrected, right, yeah, it got corrected.
Did you have any
The
other
last
questions,
story.
Michelle?
No, not at this time, thanks.
Did anyone else have any other questions for the petitioner or the attorney? Counselor, would you like to say anything else, or?
No, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're all
That
set.
concludes the petitioner's presentation.
Thank you very much. Thank you both for helping clarify this. Okay, at this point, we're going to entertain anyone that would like to speak in favor of this petition. Anyone that would like to speak in favor? Diane, do you have anything to read in favor? I do not. Thank you. Anyone that would like to speak in favor? Seeing and hearing none, declare that part of the hearing closed. Is there anyone that would like to speak in opposition to this petition? Anyone in opposition? Councilor Crowe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. And I'm really glad that, you know, AGM actually is doing a good business, except it really is, I think, Ms. Romero hit it on the head. If we go up to 50, it's going to be 75 on there. As you see, when the compliance gentleman had gone out there a few times, there's people working this, but there's no place to park. And I do think, Ms. Stone, you're absolutely right, that, you know, it is woefully, the city council got to look at that. You know, I mean, underrated how many people are working where they're going to park, because across the street is Phillips Street. And over the summer, and I was out and about, and because the people were complaining a lot. And so we stood there on the porch with a couple, and again, this meeting kind of stuck up on me, so I would have made sure that some of the residents were here. And we stood, there was cars, there's people parking there. They said, you know, when you ask them where they are, they work over there. It's very congested, and I think this is just going to exacerbate that situation as it is. You can't drive up Phillips Street a lot of the times. There's cars parked on the sidewalk. There's trucks that are, you know, I mean, moving cars, backing up on the street, on the sidewalk, and it's a one-way, so there's no other way to get in there. And I just think it's sort of an overuse of this spot. I wish, the 10 or 12, employees had parking on site instead of on these little side streets, because there's no really other place to park in that area. So, unfortunately, I don't think it's unfair to the residents that live there. And so for that reason, I just can't be in support of this.
Thank you, Counselor.
Thank you.
Anyone else that would like to speak in opposition? Okay, seeing and hearing none, declare that part of the hearing closed. Is there anything in general that needs to be read in?
You do have a copy of the email from Building Commissioner Nelson Miller, which is what we kept referencing. I don't know if you want Diane to read the email, and attached to that is the accounting of the recent violations by the city compliance department. So you do have a copy of that. I don't know if you want Diane to read it
Yes,
into the
Diane,
record, or...
if you could read the email from Building Commissioner Miller, and read the first page if you can, for the, just citing the types of problems. The first page, read that, the email from Nelson Miller, and then just that first page, because then it references the other location at 135 Eastern Ave also. Thank you. Yep. Tell her what you want to read.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the first 2 pages have to do with 160.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. This is an email dated Wednesday, January 14th. It's addressed to Michelle. Please find attached an accounting of recent violations which were observed at 160 Eastern Ave by ISD compliance officers Dave Morse and Jim Tuxbury. Please do not hesitate to reach out to them with any questions or concerns. Thanks, Nelson L. Miller, CBO. Building Commissioner, Zoning Officer. On 4/18/24, mailed 22,978, sorry. Anyone help me with that? Warning plot plan. 4/4/25, Class 2, checked, lot lined and numbered vehicles over limit. Manager states 9 cars going out for sale, question mark. 10/16/25, checked the lot, license for 2437 on the lot. He claimed 9 were being delivered today. I asked to see paperwork on the deliveries. He handed me a folder that contained a service agreement, no evidence of a sale. 23,577 mailed, licenses, violations over limit of $21,200. 10/29/25, 23,644, violation licenses, 124 vehicles for sale, license 21, see plot photo of web page. 11/18/25, checked lot at 160 Eastern Ave, AGM for license, commission license for 21, 27 on lot, 135 Eastern Ave, license for 24, 29 on lot. 1/13/26, checked AGM Auto, 160 Eastern Ave, lot is overflowing with cars for sale, no parking spots available on site. Spoke with owner, he stated several cars were being delivered today. 1/13/26, he did not indicate how many. 1/13/26, only one vehicle had a registration plate on it. I asked about employee parking. He stated that his employees carpool. There are approximately 10 to 12 people working inside. There is a constant problem with parking on the street in this area. There was no customer parking available in violation of the city ordinance. His license is for 21 cars. Presently, there was over 30 cars in the lot in violation of the plot plan. I checked his website this morning. He lists 136 cars in inventory. He also has cars for sale parked at 135 Eastern Ave. The open air lot is licensed for 24 cars. There was over 40 on this lot. Owner stated that the excess cars would be removed.
Thank you, Diane. And there's nothing else that we need to read in, Michelle?
No, just for the record, those are the compliance reports of the compliance officers
Thank you.
that Diane was reading from.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Diane. Michelle, can you take us through your staff report? Oh, wait, okay, no, that's Diane speaking, so shut that off. If you could take us through your staff report, Michelle?
Reading from the planning report and recommendation dated January 14th, 2026. We've heard about the subject property. I won't read this verbatim into the record, but it's incorporated here and by reference into the record. Giving you a breakdown of how the property is currently used, which the petitioner explained, which is what's shown on the plan, what's currently being used by petitioners, the property owner, who is the petitioner's landscaping business, inside and out, and also the used car dealer. In terms of the petition, we've heard about this. It's to amend the special permit granted in 2023. You have a copy of that decision. That allowed use of the property for vehicle retail sales by used car dealer. That amended the special permit granted in 2016, in case 1617, that allowed extension of the non-conforming building for building construction contracting use. Heard about the proposed expansion. On the exterior, the increase of exterior space will be to 13,809. So that is from 9,010. And inside the building will increase from 1,200 square feet to 4,800 square feet. Under the proposal, the landscape contract will continue to occupy a portion of the exterior lot and the first floor. Giving you the breakdown here of the plans that were submitted. In terms, and you have copies of everything, in terms of the zoning, the property is located in the central business zoning district. The building construction contracting use is prohibited in this district. It predates the ordinance. It's pre-existing non-conforming. It was legalized by the special permit you granted in case 16-17. The existing retail sales of vehicles, which has less than 5,000 square feet of gross floor area, that's the building area, is allowed by right in this district. It initially operated in violation of the outdoor parking license issued by the City Council in 2016. It began to operate, the vehicle sales use began to operate in violation of the special permit granted by this board in case 16-17. This board legalized the vehicle sales use in the special permit granted in 2317 and licensed by the City Council since 2018. You have a copy of the current license, which is license number 37025 in your package. The proposed expanded retail sales use, which would be up to 4,800 square feet of gross floor area of the building, is allowed by right in the central business zoning district. The proposal does require seeking an amendment of the used car dealer Class 2 license from the City Council. I will mention for the board's reference, I don't have any information on, I know they stated they filed for the, they filed an application. I don't have any information about that. The direct abutter to the north is the MBTA right-of-way, a portion of which is used by the petitioner, a portion of which is used as the Bike to the Sea multimodal recreational trail to the east. There's a restaurant, multifamily dwelling to the west. On the other side, Phillips Court, retail services, business, U-Haul truck rental, mixed-use property occupied for retail services and sales, and dwelling units. To the south, on the other side of Eastern Ave, motor vehicle repair shop, automotive sales business. Surrounding land uses of businesses, residential, and Malden High School. For building construction contracting use, the building and accessory structures do not conform to current dimensional controls. The principal building violates the western side yard setback, and accessory structures violate the eastern side yard setback and rear yard setbacks. The existing non-conforming building was constructed pursuant to that special permit you granted in case 16-17. The existing and proposed expanded retail sales use comply with dimensional controls for non-residential uses allowed in central business, and the proposal creates no violations. In terms of parking requirements, I've given you the breakdown here as to what is required. The building construction contracting use requires currently 7 spaces. Under the proposal, it would require 4. The vehicle retail sales actually technically requires none. under your zoning because it's an allowed use. Allowed uses don't need to provide parking in central business. In terms of the parking that's being provided for the landscape contractor, there are 5 parking lanes proposed. Those are along the northern side of the building. They'll continue to be used by the contractor. Access is through a gate via Phillips Court, which is a private way of Eastern Avenue. In terms of the parking for retail sales of vehicles, 50 spaces are proposed outside. All are configured as head-on, non-conforming access aisles. 1 space is the employee space, these are the spaces I was talking about. 1 is located partially in Phillips Court. Access is via a curb cut, again, on Eastern Ave and through an access gate via Phillips Court. 6 spaces are proposed inside the building. In terms of snow storage, 2,000 square feet of snow storage is proposed in an area that is proposed for 6 to 8 parking spaces. So that amount proposed is enough for storage for 50 spaces. Again, though, it is in designated parking spaces, so I'm not sure how that would work if there are cars parked there. So the finding required to grant the special permit, you would need to find, to amend the special permit and grant a new special permit, you would need to find that the proposal is not more detrimental to the neighborhood. So the planning recommendation that's in the report was made prior to the public hearing and provided that you make the required finding. Upon my receipt of the compliance report this morning, which I also just received early this afternoon, and based on what we've heard at the hearing, I no longer stand by the recommendation in this report. I recommend that the special permit not be amended to allow the expanded vehicle retail sales use. So that the petition, my recommendation is that the petition be denied.
Thank you very much, Michelle. Does anyone have any questions for Michelle? Stephanie Stone.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As far as what was the planning recommendation, most of it was, reiterated from the prior recommendation and what we approved. And I was curious, is that just a matter of course, you just reiterate it, or were some things not done as far as like installing privacy fencing, cameras and lighting?
You're talking about the recommended conditions?
Yeah.
Many of them are the same as the special permit that you granted in 2317, the ones that still were applicable. I would recommend you keep the ones that are still applicable. There are a couple small changes, but largely it's the same, except of course, vehicle sales, it's as per plans, it would be as per the new plan if you were to approve it. So at the time, and I would say if you do move forward to grant a special permit, I think all of these conditions are relevant and applicable.
And so putting them here doesn't necessarily indicate they didn't do it previously, it's just kind of, it's
No,
just saying
I would say
maintain
these
that.
are operational, I would call these operational conditions. So, it's install and maintain pavement markings to delineate the parking lanes. They've already been done, but you wouldn't want to remove that condition, then they wouldn't have those. If you recall the first petition, that was unique to this particular building that was constructed. They were long parking lanes, so he could accommodate, the landscaping business that is, could accommodate the trucking and the parking, and there were storage containers that were permitted, but they were only permitted in certain locations. So presuming they're still going to be used by the landscaping, even though there are not as many shown on there, I would say you would want to keep that same location restriction, that they're not within so many feet of the residential property line. So these are things that you would want to maintain if they're going to continue to operate under the special permit or exercise their rights. I would say they're all operational. Install and maintain the privacy fencing. The vehicle sales, the snow storage, those are ongoing.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Risa Gray.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Michelle, can you hear me? Okay, if this petition, this permit wasn't granted, is it status quo for the business, or what happens?
If the petition's not granted, the current special permit remains in effect.
Does. And if the violations continue, it's just fines and,
I guess the violations would continue if they continue to operate the business in violation. They, I believe, go once a year before the city council license committee to have the license renewed, so I would expect these issues would come up. I know the compliance officers typically attend those and report back to the city council, so.
thank you.
Eric Henry.
Thank you again, Mr. Chair. I heard the word compliance officer a couple of times in here tonight, so what is the opposite of a compliance officer? Is a enforcement officer?
A vandal.
You keep finding them and nothing, what's the penalty? I mean, what's the recourse?
I mean, I think the fines, are looked at, by this license committee. I believe there's been occasion when a license isn't renewed if there are too many violations. In terms of enforcement, zoning, Nelson Miller's here, the building commissioner, he would enforce not licensing, but he'd enforce zoning. If they weren't in compliance with the occupancy permit or the special permit, he would enforce those conditions. I mean, I think ultimately revocation of an occupancy permit would be the last straw, if you will, after violations and fines and
Mr. Nelson
corrective
is-
orders.
Yes, I thank you very much, Michelle. Mr. Nelson's provided some pretty good information there tonight and stuff as well. I was just wondering, I mean, it appears that the property owner is not responsible because it's the tenant's responsibility. And it's,
Well, I think the property owner is responsible for the property. They would, if violations are issued for the property, it would go to the property owner. The license, these violations are being, all those numbers that Diane were reading, those are license violations, so those are going to the licensee.
okay, so that's the demarcation there.
For the license, right, but in terms of not being in compliance, if in fact they have 37 cars, they're not in compliance with the special permit, so that's a different issue. That would be one where the building commissioner would be able to pursue enforcement of the special permit.
So at this point, they're obviously over the number, but we just noted and passed it back. Okay, thank you, I got it.
Building Commissioner Miller, do you mind stepping up to the podium? I guess there's some questions about what happens. The recommendation by staff is that it be denied because of all the egregious and ongoing violations. And as Eric Henry mentioned, what happens? What recourse do we have? Do we just leave them in non-compliance and just continually fine them, or what other recourse do we have, in your opinion?
Yeah, so we, in ISD, we have a number of different staff who enforce a number of different things. And our compliance officers are staff who recently moved over to ISD. They used to report to the city council. They have a limited number of things that they enforce. Basically, what they enforce are things that fall under ordinance. So they can write tickets for everything from trash to unregistered vehicles. We also have folks in our department who enforce zoning, with me being the zoning enforcement officer. So with the location like this, you could have actually two distinctly different things going on, and a single violation could actually cross both borders. If they're in violation of their special permit, which through that report you saw they have been, that's something that I could write a violation to them through zoning for a zoning violation. They're also in violation of their license, their Class 2 license, which is something our compliance officers monitor and review and can write tickets for. And as I think Michelle stated, every year when these businesses come back for their Class 2 licenses, the compliance officers report back to the city council and basically tell the city council if they've been, you know, good businesses or not, and then the city council can take that information and do what they want licensing-wise. So, the short answer is, the compliance officers go out, and it's up to them to decide if they want to write someone, if they want to speak to someone and just try to work with them to make them comply, or if they want to issue them a warning, or if they want to issue them a monetary violation or not. And from the report you saw, they've been basically meeting with the the business owner, and making him aware of the issues and trying to get him to comply through that method. But they certainly could write violations if they wanted to. And those would be ordinance violations. Zoning is a different animal. Zoning-wise, if you're in violation of zoning, I have a wide variety of options also. I can talk to you and try to get you to comply. I can write you a violation, or I can show up with a sticker and shut your building down and tell you to get out. So, you know, it just depends on the severity of what's going on.
Just a point of question, there's no zoning issue here.
Well, if you're in violation of your special permit, that's a zoning issue, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Miller? Not at the moment. Thank you, sir. Does anyone else have any questions for Michelle or in general? If not, is there a motion? Eric Henry.
Make a motion that we not grant this special permit.
Okay, Eric's made a motion to not grant the special permit. Is there a second? Michelle Ferguson.
I'll second that.
Michelle Ferguson seconds it.
Just for the record, by not grant, you mean deny, right?
Yes, I believe so.
So would that be
Yes.
this would be a yes vote actually on this, because the way that it's been proposed by
Right.
staff is that it is not to,
So a
Right.
yes
A
vote
yes
would
vote
be
is to deny.
Correct.
Right, okay.
Okay, give me a second here. Okay. Okay, go ahead, Michelle.
So a yes vote is to deny. Ken Antonucci?
Yes.
Diane Chuha?
Yes.
Michelle Ferguson?
Sorry, yes.
Tawadej Geber Selassie?
Yes.
Risa Gray? Pat Hayes?
Yes.
Eric Henry?
yes.
Stephanie Stone?
Yes.
Chuck Ioven?
Yes. So the petition has been denied. Thank you. start, you can. Trying to find my supplies. Stapler. What's that?
Just fold it, I'll know what goes with what.
Here we go. Okay. So the next thing on the agenda is 100 Hospital Road. Thank you for your help tonight, Mr. Miller.
So this is a plan that you've seen before. It is an application, however, now you saw it for preliminary review and approval to make recommendations to the Department of Public Works Commission. And now it's before you as an application for determination of planning board jurisdiction, whether approvals are not required. This is a widening and relocation plan for portions of Hospital Road and Savin Street. You do have a copy of the plan that was already signed by the Department of Public Works Commission. And again, it's the same plan that you looked at back in when did you look at this? This is not this. Well, you looked at it last year, and you made recommendations to the DPW Commission to approve it. There are 3 sections of the roadway that are changed. One is near Savin Street, one is in the middle section of Hospital Road, and one is at the intersection of Murray Hill Road. So, and that actually, I'm sorry, that was September, on September 10th, 2025, you had reviewed that. So now it's before you for an approval not required plan, because those 3 sections, whether they're becoming part of the road or being removed from the roadway, are either being merged or removed from the abutting parcels. So that's why this is before you as an approval not required plan. The recommendation is that you approve the application and endorse the plan. All lots will have frontage with this plan. So meets the statutory criteria for the approval not required plan. So the recommendation is that you approve the application and endorse the plan.
Very good, Michelle, thank you. Does anyone have any questions? If not, is there a motion? Ken Antonucci.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the application and the signature of the plan.
Is there a second? Tawadej Gebrselassie.
Second.
Okay. Voice vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 9-0.
The next plan, approval not required plan, is regarding 7173 Emerald Street and a parcel known as No Number Emerald Street. Again, this is before you for application for determination of planning board jurisdiction, whether approvals are not required under the subdivision control law. The plan is to merge the parcels. Again, the merged parcel will have the required frontage and meets the statutory criteria for approval not required. So the recommendation is that you approve the application and endorse the plan.
Very good. Anyone have any questions? Is there a motion? Ken Antonucci.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the application and endorse the plan.
Very good. Is there a second? Risa Gray.
I will second.
Okay, on Ken's motion to approve and Reese's second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Next item, 1 Salem Street.
So this is coming before you for advisory recommendations to the city council, who will be the special permit granting authority. This is a project site comprised of 1 Salem Street and 15 Ferry Street. The proposal requires seeking variances from the Board of Appeal. So per ordinance, it will, the project will go through that process first. If it's successful, it will then be going before the special permit granting authority, the city council, for the special permit. So we will review and discuss the proposal after the Board of Appeal renders a decision, which I expect will be within the next couple months. So it didn't seem appropriate to bring it at this time. It actually wasn't properly before you, since it's has not yet been sent for a special permit.
So they'll revisit us after they go through the.
Yes. Yes.
The process with Board of Appeals.
Right.
Looking
If
for-
they're successful and then are gonna be moved on to the special permit, then it will come back before you and be properly before you to review and make recommendations to the city council, who will be the special permit granting
Okay,
authority.
do we need to vote on anything?
Nope, nope. It was on here because 2 weeks ago when we set the agenda, I thought it was gonna be properly before you, and we were I was recently,
Yeah, made aware
notified.
that it wasn't.
Yeah, made
Okay.
aware that it wasn't, so.
Okay, does anyone have any questions? No? Very good. Next item, Ronnie's not here, so there's no Community Preservation Committee meeting update. Do you have anything for master plan or open space? I know you got an email from Alex, which I believe he was confirming that he didn't prepare anything yet.
Right, for open space recreation plan, his email stated that, and I do have it here someplace, I believe it stated that they're still working to make final revisions to the plan, working with MAPC, who is the partner for the project. And once the final revisions are incorporated in, they will send it to us for review. So that's that update. And this is, I'm talking about the update received from Alex Pratt from OSPCD. Master plan, or also known as a comprehensive plan, the chair, has been convening the meetings. We've been meeting on a regular basis. The RFP results have been received. Responses to the RFP will be, the selection committee will be reviewing those, and hopefully we will be selecting one to move forward with the project.
Okay, thank you. Anyone have any questions? Eric Henry.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just an overt question for you, Michelle. How many members are on this, will be on this planning committee?
The master plan steering committee currently has 7 members. There is, you may have seen a posted opening for 4 resident members. So we're seeking what used to be called citizen members, but now they're called resident members. So the 7 members that are on it are chair of the planning board member, who is Patrick Hayes, planning staff, me, representative of the mayor's office, that's Maria Louise, also the director of OSPCD, and 2 city councilors. And then there'll be 4 residents hopefully joining that committee. That's the master plan steering committee. Once the project gets up and rolling, for those that were here for the last time, we'll give regular updates to you. You'll be invited to all the activities, events, asked to participate, since it will be the planning board that would need to file the plan with the state.
Have the councils been selected?
The council president selects the members. The 2 councilors are Council President Amanda Linehan and Ward 4 Councilor Ryan O'Malley. They are the two on the master plan steering committee.
And they were the same two in 2025.
Right.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, last order of business is the annual report. You should have a copy in your package. And if you want to have a look at it, and that didn't happen.
Yeah, it should be attached to the agenda.
Came from the state,
Right.
yes. Yeah,
Yes, you should all be getting an email from the State Ethics Commission, I think it
Yeah.
is, saying it's due for you, it's time for you to take a conflicts of interest training, yes.
I got
That
mine,
is
I got
legitimate,
mine
right?
Monday morning, I think.
Yeah. It used to come through
Yeah.
HR or personnel, now it comes directly from the state. So whatever address you used to take it last time, that's the email address you should be getting the email and the link to.
So do you know who it's coming from?
Yeah, the ethics, state ethics commission.
It's every 2 years, you have to take the test. Every year you have to confirm receipt of the
rules.
law. But I can look and tell you who it came from.
I get so much garbage emails.
Okay, what I'll do is I'll send this out to everybody tomorrow, in case you, for some reason, didn't get it.
It feels like it. Yeah.
So you have to take the online exam, and then, it's all done electronically, so you don't have to send me anything. You just go, log in and take the exam. Massachusetts Conflict of Interest Training,
Gotten sworn in
important reminder.
last year.
It was sent Saturday to me, Saturday night,
After
actually.
you get reappointed, did you go and get re-signed? You were supposed to.
Yeah. I'm gonna send it to everybody
They said you did.
right now, actually.
Okay. Okay, does anyone have any other questions on the plan? Are you okay with, we're actually very tardy on it. So normally what we try to do, we're facing a deadline. So we usually kind of review it, look at it, and then sign it, submit it, and then bring it to the board for approval. However, since we're so tardy on it, Michelle and I thought we'd bring it to you guys first and let you guys have a look at it and see if there's any comments. It typically aren't, but if you have any, feel free to raise them.
I just had a question on how the dates line up. Let's say, for example, Stephanie going from associate to full member, and as the term expires, term ended, but then the appointment dates, so they don't necessarily
No, because
line
you're filling another position, timeframe. So,
Someone else.
And
so if
that's-
someone had if Stephanie, in Stephanie's instance, let's say
Yep.
she was replacing someone who was expiring in 2025, she would then start from the end of that, finish out that term, and then
Okay, yeah, I was just curious.
do that piece.
I was
Then
trying to-
once you get in sync into your own little cycle,
Yep,
it's usually a 5-year cycle. Excuse me? Oh,
yeah. I was just curious, thank you.
yes. Any other questions or comments? Tonight was a perfect example of just jumping quickly to the number 7, the challenges. I think tonight was a perfect example of lack of preparation of the petitioners, not meeting with the ward councilors. That's probably what our biggest challenge is.
Also the incomplete plans.
Yeah, incomplete plans. Other challenges are how aggressive people are in interpreting the ordinances and codes on if they can do a 2, they want to do a 4. If they can do a 4, they want to, tear it down and put up 6 row houses, that type of thing. Some of the goals that we have are, when it's ready, review the open space and recreation plan and approve it. It's been a while coming, so hopefully we'll get a look at that shortly. Then continue to look and try to adapt any changes to the zoning ordinances. And also, it's almost a year that we've been in this iteration of the Master Plan Steering Committee. The wheels have turned slower than we wanted, but a lot of that had to do with the staffing in OSPCD. They were short-staffed, so we kind of stagnated for a few months there, but we're back on track and we're trying to get things rolling. RFPs are coming back. Michelle is on that review committee. And once we issue it and accept a vendor, the timeline's going to be a 2-year timeline. That it's supposed to be done in 2 years. So we'll see. Michelle, you have anything to add? And I see Eric has a question or a comment.
Yes, thanks again, Mr. Chair. Just one more of a comment on anything on the report. Just a comment, I think, from our perspective on the planning board. We probably have one of the more unique charters, if you will, of city government that we can serve ad nauseum, basically. We have no term limits. And this basically says term expiration. If one chooses to not extend their stay, they can stay until they can no longer speak.
Not really. They have to be reappointed by the mayor.
And confirmed by the council.
So for instance, when I come up on the 28th and in 2028, if the mayor doesn't reappoint me, I move on to that farm upstate.
Just for a point of information, has that ever happened? The mayor
Yes.
failed to report, when was you?
I've seen that in the past time that I've been here. Typically, it doesn't. Typically, people end up moving on of their own accord. Either their work or personal life becomes a conflict.
Higher political aspirations.
Sometimes, but that's happened. Or the more common one is when people move out of the city.
Yeah, but this is a whole conversation about not necessarily contentment, but longevity and limits of term. So I think that it is something that maybe that should be discussed. We do have a perfunctory member on the CPC that probably needs to be discussed and put some limits electoral limits on that as well. So
I believe there is on CPC, I think it's 2 years, isn't it, Ken?
Well, not for the board members.
that's what I'm saying.
For the-
We are a
the way
perfunctory
the-
member.
The way the CPC charter is written, Historical Commission, Housing Authority, Planning Board can serve indefinitely. It's for the
Correct.
resident members is a 2-year limit.
Okay,
Whatever.
okay.
What's that change? I thought there was a limit.
Never. Never.
For the resident member.
I volunteer, remember?
For the boards and commission members, there isn't.
So, while definitely, as great Martin Luther King said on the eve of his celebration, longevity has its place, but there are limits to things. And then with that, I'll yield. Happy 4th, Martin Luther King.
Very good, thank you. Are there any other comments or questions? Oops, Stephanie Stone.
Oh, yeah, I just wanted to put in a plug for the ribbon cutting ceremony for the new hospital, and it's such a beautiful site, and it makes me feel a lot safer where I live and walking around the area. So if you haven't seen it, I definitely recommend, if you can, going.
Did everybody
Yeah.
get the invitation I sent? It was like a placeholder invitation.
Yeah. Oh, is it still a placeholder? It's not like fully?
I never got the
yeah.
other one if they did
Okay.
it. I only got
Yeah.
the one I sent you guys, so if
Yeah.
it's out, I don't have it.
Yeah.
I was not able to see the image in your, email.
I don't know what day it was. Yeah.
Okay. So, is there a motion to accept the annual report? Yes. And allow me to sign it? Very good. Eric's made a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Stephanie Stone.
We can file this with the city council.
Right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next meeting is February 11th, 2026. If you have any problems with attending that, please let Michelle know as soon as possible. Otherwise, is there a motion to adjourn? Diane Chuha made a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? Second. Ken Antonucci, second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Great stuff, 8:46. Have a good long weekend, those that get to take Monday off.
Come to the Martin Luther King celebration at, was it Matthew Baptist Church?
Yeah,
First, a friend of mine